Hey, welcome everybody to the 40 Finance channel. The market opened today with a thud here on January 10th. And for me anyway, it was an easy decision to go out and buy some more QQQ as I try to build up my position in there. So today we're going to take a quick pulse of the QQQ. I'm going to give you a few reasons why I think this is flashing by. And honestly, this same methodology probably applies to the SPY as well. I just have a penchant for the QQQ. But either way, with interest rates going up and a lot of the hot stocks getting hammered left and right, choosing an ETF or index fund that you're interested in right now during this peak volatility in Q1 might be an easy way to continue to invest while saving your sanity for the long term. Kick things off with just a quick chart view here. And the red line here in the middle is the SPY. The Q is in the candles. And we see the 50-day moving average. We dipped below that actually last week at some point. And you see here I'm highlighting we're almost before lunchtime today. And the low was 369. So that when it hit to the 60s, that's when I bought 3 shares. We'll see if I buy some more as the day goes on. But you're getting a little bit closer to the 200-day. But for me, the big indicators down here, looking at the RSI of 35 right now. And it's been a while since we've hit that point. So you see I'm kind of scrolling back. We had a 39 on October 12th, and it looks like a 29 on October 4th was about the best here in the past 3 months. Now let's take a look at the 1-year view. We've got about the same story. The only thing I would call out here is that you're probably going deeper down from the 50-day, but this 35 RSI, again, you had an opportunity in October. Again, you had one in, looks like May, and I'm guessing in March because we had some weakness in March. But this 35 is a good sign if you're looking to buy lower. All right, looking past momentum indicators, let's think about valuation for a second, and we'll just kind of do some napkin math on this, right? So with QQQ, the top 10 holdings equal about 50% of the index. So if you go down this line and you added up all these percentages over here, roughly through Adobe, I believe, maybe Pepsi as well, not sure, those are going to be half of the fund. All right, so keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at some broad metrics of those top 10 holdings. And this is just sorted by market cap, the top stocks that are in the NASDAQ. And we want to look at 52-week range. We want to look at PE ratio. In a perfect world, we'd be able to look at forward PE ratio, but I can't sort it that way. At least I wasn't able to find a way to do it. All right, so Apple, we've got a 52-week high of about 183. Today, you're down to 169, PE ratio of 30. And I'll say Apple, like many, many others on this list, is expected to grow its earnings per share, so the forward PE is going to go down for Apple. Now, we've had a lot of discussion about Apple's PE ratio being kind of high relative to history, but to be fair, over the long term, you're basically getting a forward PE in the 20s, I would imagine, and if you're going to hold QQQ for 5 to 10 years, then you got nothing to worry about. Same thing for Microsoft, which has definitely been running hotter than it has historically. I think the last time I calculated like a historical fair valuation for this one, it was right about 290. So there might be some fat to trim here, but for all intensive purposes with Microsoft, they are going to grow EPS quite a bit next year, and I would anticipate their forward PE probably already sits under 30. Alphabet, one of the best deals on the market. It is also off of its 52-week high. Then we've got Amazon that's sinking probably down to fall levels here at 31.63. And its PE runs a little bit hotter. And there's definitely a world where I could see Amazon maybe dipping underneath $3,000 on a broader market correction. But generally speaking, I would say it's a decent deal right now. Tesla, most people would probably say Tesla's overvalued, but there was a point today that Tesla got under $1,000. And you're definitely 10, 15% off of its 52-week high. So that's the kind of stuff you want to see, being able to buy low. NVIDIA certainly come back down to reality. PE, trailing PE of 80.98. It's down from a high of 346. And picking out some other popular names, you got Broadcom, way off of its 677 high. Broadcom recently upgraded their EPS projections, so this should be coming down. Pepsi, funny enough, is actually trading near its 52-week high. So that could be something where you have a drift away from technology and into Pepsi for some reason. But that's good news if you own the QQQ because it's one of their top 10 holdings. Adobe, Netflix, and even Comcast are trading far below their 52-week high. So in my opinion, when you see this many stocks coming off 52-week highs, yes, you could say, well, they were all expensive. That might very well be true. But what we were looking for out of the Qs is to come down into some world of fair value. And I think we're getting pretty darn close at 370, certainly in the 360s. All right, now I want to show you largest daily changes in NASDAQ Composite. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if we're at 370 today, historically, how far could the QQQ drop? What if we still had another correction event from here? How far down would we expect the QQQ to go from 370? And if I'm just going to work in percentages, because for me, that's just the way my brain goes. But, you can see the points next to it, right? So the largest daily percentage loss was 12% during what? The COVID crisis, obviously. The next largest was 11%, and that was, I believe, Black Friday in 1987. Now, what about the dot-com crash? Well, in terms of daily, you did have a minus 10%, but there's a couple 2000s in here. You see you have a minus 7%, and you have another minus 7%. I think there's a couple more in here, too. So the dot-com crash had the effect of compounding days in huge swaths of minus 9s, minus 7s, whatnot. But in an individual day, you'd be hard-pressed to find the NASDAQ going down by more than 10%. In fact, it's only happened twice. And while this Black Friday one is sort of a mystery, this COVID one, I think, is a fairly obvious story of why it happened. All right, so at least from my perspective, there's a lot of positive indicators that say starting a position or adding to a position in QQQ right now might be a good idea if you're looking to invest some money. Obviously, we've seen a complete meltdown in the ARC type stocks, high valuation tech stocks with no earnings. Those are getting absolutely destroyed. And for me, one of the things that I've been looking for is when will there be some weakness in the top dogs? I did a video about that yesterday. When do the FAANGMs start to drip down? Because when that starts to happen, like it looks like it's happening now, we know that a lot of those stocks have a very strong floor. They all have earnings. They're all projected to have varying degrees of growth next year. And if you walk around town or talk to other investors, nobody on the planet is going to tell you you shouldn't invest in Apple, Microsoft, Google, none of those names for the long term, right? They're all going to say, yeah, no brainer, buy into those. Well, now we're starting to see a little bit of discounting at the top. For me, I took a loss last year in the neighborhood of minus 12, 13%. And I vowed this year I was going to spread that risk out a little bit. So instead of me sweating over Facebook versus Google versus Apple versus NVIDIA, I'm going with the heavy QQQ allocation. I'm still going to buy individual stocks. But right here, right now, while we're seeing a meltdown in the market, in my opinion, the easiest thing to buy right now is QQQ. All right, guys, let me know your opinion in the comments. Are you interested in QQQ at these levels? If it's at 370 today, how much farther do you think that it could fall? This is the top 100 stocks in the NASDAQ. I'll put my bottom line floor on $350. I would be very surprised to see that number, but I don't see it going down by much more than that. Let me know what your floor number is for the QQQ. All right, thanks as always for watching. Please give a like, subscribe to the channel, all the things. We'll see you on the next video.